Sidequests comprise the single largest runtime of all macro-level categories in The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, coming in at a staggering 31% of all HD gameplay runtime. Side questing involves any gameplay moment where the player is not actively progressing the main storyline. Whether this comes in the form of character-driven quest, innately motivated desire for treasure, or the completion of minigames, ultimately if the action taken is not required to see the credits, then bingo bango, into the side questing bin you go. Side quests can take on many different forms throughout Wind Waker's runtime, but I have done my best to condense this most hefty category into easily digestible chunks. In my expert, overzealous, and downright obsessive fervor, I have identified three main categories which all side quests belong. The first and most abundant is what I term the innate adventurer quest. These are moments where a player's innate sense of curiosity drive the action more so than an explicit demand or request from a non-playable character. These innate adventurer quests are any time the player ventures onto an island, a sea platform, a submarine, or endeavors to peruse optional aspects of dungeons or story-related islands. The second category is what I call the character-driven quest. These character-driven quests are character-given quests. Get it? Anytime the player is interacting with a non-playable character with the intention of completing optional tasks, then the player is engaging with this arbitrary distinction variety. Third, and finally, is minigame related questing. Originally, I only had two categories, innate motivated and character-driven quests, but upon footage review, there is a shocking preponderance of minigame related action scattered across Wind Waker's world. While technically, yes, you are talking to a character to begin these minigames, you aren't doing it for that character's sake. The little games are king, the kids say, or at least I think they should, so minigames get their own category. Excuse me for a brief moment, I have a small aside to squeeze in. This video is a sample of what I have termed for the past few months as the most video of all time. I now feel comfortable revealing the video's full title. The most video of all time, a supremely exhaustive review and analysis of the most Zelda of all time, The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. Since this is a segment from the much larger video, I have added director's notes in yellow text now on screen to smooth over any oddness. For more information about the most video of all time, or why I'm releasing this video in segments, please see the video's conclusion and afterword. Let's return to the video now. For this segment, I'm going to go into detail about the latter two since they largely deviate from the standard gameplay loop. The only thing to note about the innately motivated quests is they frequently lead to upgrades, whether heart pieces, treasure charts, rupees, or quantity upgrades like the quiver or bomb bags. These quests feel more naturally integrated in their see an island, explore an island gameplay loop, as opposed to their more rigidly structured character side quest and minigame peers. This more free-form approach is well integrated and makes things feel natural and accommodating through Wind Waker's runtime. Due to how naturalistic these moments of exploration feel, I believe it is redundant to cover them in detail. Please reference either the vertical slice or on-foot exploration segments located at this timestamp if you need a refresher, or we're simply skipping around. For this side quest segment, we will start with the character-driven quest. To spice things up, I have ranked these quests according to how much I personally enjoyed them. I hope this method of review gives you a glance into my personal taste regarding what makes a good quest. I will give details related to all major character-driven quests, highlight my likes, my dislikes, and rant a little about how there is not a single correct list of Wind Waker side quests anywhere on the internet. Third, and finally, we will talk about mini-games. Again, I think ranking these will be a fun little exercise and give me a solid framing device for what I believe constitutes a fun minigame. Like I mentioned earlier, character-driven quests comprise any side questing activity that involves interacting with non-playable characters on the Great Sea. I have broken this segment into two distinct chunks based on the size of the quest. First, we will take a look at 6 smaller side quests that fall into this category, and then pivot into discussing the remaining 13 character-driven quests. Some of these quests are pretty similar, so I combine them into one scripting chunk so as to not repeat myself multiple times. By my count, there are 22 unique character-driven side quests that do not include participation in a minigame, since minigames are their own category at the end of this segment. Beetle's Shopship is a regular fixture that's scattered amongst the most story-relevant islands. Inside Beetle's Shopship, the player will find items for purchase that aid Link in his quest. Chief amongst these are the all-purpose bait and the Hoi pears, but the player can also purchase refills for their consumables here as well. When a purchase is made, the player earns a single Beetle's Shopship reward point. By purchasing 30 items and by extension earning 30 Beetle's Shopship reward points, the player will become a silver level Beetle's Shopship member and be sent the complimentary ID, a single-use voucher which when redeemed causes Beetle to compliment you for your continued patronage. If the player purchases 60 items and earns 60 Beetle's Shopship reward points, then they are awarded via postbox the fill-up coupon, which once again is a single-use voucher that entitles the player to have all their consumables filled to their maximum limits. Personally, I find this quest laughable both in a haha how funny sort of way and a more pernicious what the hell sort of way. Not being able to purchase multiple items at once makes this feel like an enormous chore. I did a working person's 100% playthrough and still did not buy a total of 30 items from Beetle, so the thought of having to purchase up to 60 items over the course of a standard casual playthrough seems impossible. Meaning that this quest is certified for the sickos who must have everything no matter what. I would not purchase that many items despite having the requisite rupees. This is entirely because of how slow it is. Worst small quest by far, barely a quest, mostly a goof, maybe a gaff, waka waka. The first of the Picto Box quest and my least favorite by a small margin. This quest does not have an official name. Most people seem to just refer to it by its reward, so if I were an ARC, this would be titled Small Quest Number 5, Treasure Chart Number 33. I instead prefer a slightly more fun and livelier name, something like Vanity, my dear. In this quest, Link speaks with Windfall Citizen, and I'm gonna butcher this, I'm sorry, Menincho, who asks how she's looking today. She mentions that, all caps, he always shows off his pictures of her as soon as he's taken them. We will talk more about all caps, he in a later quest, but for now, all that needs doing is a simple camera click and quick reveal, and, again, Menincho will be so wowed by her own glossy skin and radiating beauty that she can't help but give Link just a little reward. Another in and out style Picto Box quest. This one is a little more complex, but the key word in that sentence is a little. That's in all caps, little, and put that in all caps. Sometimes you should just read the script. Sitting on the steps approaching Zunari's shop on Windfall Island sits Como, or as I have just learned in Italy, Andy Dandy. Kamo's a sad dork soliloquizing teen lamenting that nobody knows how he feels. By reviewing his Nintendo Gallery figurines bio, we learn that Kamo/Camo is 18 and has never had a girlfriend. Clearly the woes of youth rattle young, involuntary celibate Kamo's cage. His downright horny nightmare spirit demands audience to any and all who dare step into his big mouth oral radius. Even children, you freak. In comes Link, the child, who Kamo belittles before finally accepting that Link too might understand what he's going through. Kamo tasks Link with taking pictures of something perfectly pale and round. When I presented this riddle to my girlfriend, she very confidently answered that Kamo must be referring to Menincho, which is quite hilarious. What Kamo is actually referring to is the full moon. You can receive further hints about this at night, where the player can find Kamo stargazing. Upon giving Kamo a photograph of his treasure, perfect sky, he rhapsodizes about the nature of unrequited love and the splendor of the understanding cosmos. But who cares about that? Treasure Chart 31, Heart Piece City, here I come. On Windfall, overlooking the ocean, there's a strange scene that unfolds every day and every night without fail and without reprieve. A man donned in the white of wool with the perfectly coiffed hair dances to the beat of his own drum. His dance, rhythmic and methodical, is done for an audience of none in the company of a tombstone. If the player approaches, they will find the man so entranced in his art that he pays you no initial mind. However, once you have his attention, he introduces himself as Tot, the world's charismatic dancer extraordinaire. Tot recalls to you witnessing a performance of a dazzling magic dance that could change day to night and night to day. By brandishing your Wind Waker, Tot can perform this dance for you and by extension teach the player the Song of Passing. Clever. Day passing the night, and in front of a tombstone of someone who passed. This is the only optional song in the game and provides utility for time-specific side quests. From a character perspective, I really enjoy Tot's design and personality. I think the visual of him constantly dancing in the distance is one of Wind Waker's most iconic images, and his small story does a lot to enhance the overall flair of Windfall's denizens. Fun fact, it isn't revealed why Tot dances in front of the grave in the English releases of Wind Waker, but in Japanese we learned that it is the grave of his father. I'm sorry for your loss, Tot. I hope you perfect your perfect charismatic dance and go far. These top two are really going to show my eclectic personal sensibilities, waka waka. One of them is enormously silly and the other is game design crack cocaine. We will start with the silly one. Back on Link's home island of Outset lives a nuclear family, the father Abe, the mother Rose, and two children, Joel and Zill. Sure, why not Zill? I love this silly little family. They are amongst my favorite characters in the game. Zill's nasty bouncing snot and downright glee at seeing Link at the beginning of this game really set the tone for the type of characters we'll meet. Abe's obsession with these pigs and Rose's motherly vibe all mesh to create a loving tapestry of interesting character traits. One of my absolute favorite lines of dialogue is in the back half of the game, where, if Link returns to Outset, he can talk to Joel. Joel will then tell Link that Zill has stopped wetting the bed. Kind of a nothing burger, maybe a little bit of a haha line, but detail-oriented players will know that these boys sleep in the same bed. Gross. So this is a huge win for Joel, maybe the single largest win for any character across the runtime of this entire game, but that's all besides the point. I just didn't have anywhere else to include that specific tidbit. Back to these pigs, specifically this big honkin' son of a gun. When returning to Outset and speaking to Rose, we learn this behemoth monster, once in a generationally gifted mega girthy chonk daddy, has been lovingly blessed with the name of our character, in my case and most others' cases, Link. At the start of this adventure, this was a little bitty normal-sized lad, but over the course of our extended adventure, this pig has got an all-caps huge on him. If the player has obtained the power bracelet, they will have the strength to pick Link the pig off the ground and slowly march down the length of the island to reach some discolored patches of earth, which our big chunkin' mega pig can burrow through to find treasures, for our purposes, a piece of heart. I like this quest so much for a few reasons. Number one, just look at the size of this guy, that's crazy. 2, I like all the characters which surround this quest. 3, this is one of the few quests which require time to pass in the world to complete, since at the start of the game, this pig is baby. 4, look at the size of this guy, that's crazy. In my original listing, this was my number 1 small quest, but after consideration about what exactly constituted a quest, I had one more addition, which just barely squeaked out for our top spot. This is going to serve as a review for most of you. I covered this quest in detail much earlier when describing Wind Waker's vertical slice. In short, the Salvage Corps provides Link with a treasure chart at one of 2 locations. Depending on the location, the texture of this quest differs, but ultimately the results are identical. If the player receives this treasure chart at the earliest opportunity at Pauper and Isle, they will also receive a preview of an upcoming Isle, the Grappling Hook. For many players, this will be their first treasure chart and serve as a tutorial on multiple levels. If the player receives this chart from the Salvage Corps at their second location, Eastern Triangle Island, then the player will already have the grappling hook for dredging purposes, and it just so happens the treasure chart they give Link is located on this very same island, offering a perfect opportunity for the player to learn how to use treasure charts and receive an idea of what sort of rewards to expect moving forward. If you think this doesn't quite constitute a character-driven quest, I totally understand. I initially didn't have on my list either, but eventually relented because the Salvage Corps crew are characters and silly, and I love them. If you want to instead treat Link the Pig as the winner of the small character-driven quest portion of the video, I will allow it on a spiritual level, since I've already mailed the Salvage Corps their medals. The Nintendo Gallery is the most wide-reaching and time-consuming quest present in Wind Waker. It is so massive and so detailed and borderline impossible to complete in a single playthrough without a guide that I determined it so excessive as to not even bother attempting to complete it for this project. Basically, the Nintendo Gallery is a museum-style location found off the coast of Forest Haven. Players use their deluxe picto box to take pictographs of the characters around the Great Sea. Players bring those pictures to the master sculptor and he creates figurines of the pictographed character. In some ways, this is the most character-driven of all the quests. After all, you are literally just taking pictures of every character for the right to view them in a miniature style and read little blurbs about their lives. How much more character-oriented can you get? Reading about characters and engaging with them in the context of the narrative and world are amongst my favorite things. After all, I love a good compendium, if you can't tell. It's just that this quest is so laborious and frustrating that it takes the wind out of my proverbial sails. In the GameCube version of Wind Waker, this quest is downright brutal and offensive to complete. In the GameCube release, players can only store 3 photos and the sculptor could only make 1 figurine at a time. To create a figure, the player must present a full body photo to the sculptor who then takes 1 in-game day to work. 1 figure a day, 3 photos per trip, and even then the sculptor could decline your photos as insufficient to his master craftsman's eye. I had this occur to me one too many times as a kid and it permanently scarred me. Even now with Wind Waker HD, I still can't get the nerve up to do this quest. And that is saying something because, as you can tell by the length of this beast, I'm crazy. Furthermore, the quest has been supremely streamlined for the HD version. Now players can hold 12 photos at a time. The sculptor can sculpt 12 per day. And the deluxe picto box now tells you if a picture will be accepted for sculpting prior to delivery. Great changes across the board, but it's too crufty for me. To offer some praise, I really enjoy the crafterly nature of this museum-like area. I like all the fun references scattered behind the sculpting master. I love these little blurbs that give more insight into the side characters, and I deeply appreciate that there are no gameplay or gameplay adjacent rewards for this quest. No treasure charts, no upgrades, no heart pieces. And it's not like Nintendo isn't afraid to put these types of rewards behind labor-intensive quests. Just look at the Minish Caps figurine quest. Now that's really brutal. I repeatedly vacillate on whether to include this as a quest or not, but decided to go ahead and let it rip. I am including both the GameCube Tingle Tuner quest and the HD non-Tingle Tuner versions of this quest in this slot. To summarize, in the GameCube version of the game, by utilizing the version-exclusive Game Boy Advance tie-in Tingle Tuner item, players can discover hidden chests which are bombed with the Tingle Tuner exclusive item Tingle Bombs. In the HD version, there's no way to know these chests would exist. However, they can now be bombed with just regular old bombs. Each of the 5 proper dungeons in this game contains 1 chest, and each chest contains 1 golden Tingle statue. The collection of each statues rewards Link with 50 rupees, and returning the full set rewards 500. I am not a particular fan of either version of this quest. I don't appreciate the GameCube version requiring the Game Boy Advance to access the Tingle Tuner, though I do think it's pretty neat. And I don't love how, without prior knowledge of the game, a normal player can't find these statues. I had to look them up and add them to my spreadsheet. Prior to that, I had no clue these even existed. Also, brief aside because I don't know where else to put this one, in the GameCube version there's an additional Tingle Tuner related quest involving Tingle's brother Knuckle. Knuckle has fled Tingle Island after a dispute with Tingle. Knuckle is found with the Tingle Tuner on Outset Island and requires Link to complete a series of tasks like crawling into the outdoor bath or using the ladder everybody forgets exists. By completing these quests, Knuckle will award Link with the hand-me-down Tingle Tuner, which is used to buy items through the GBA Tingle Tuner menu, and Knuckle also then returns to Tingle Island. I do think the tasks Knuckle requires are quite silly though, and that goes far for me. Again, I don't like this requiring the GBA and adapter for quest accessibility. For the sake of streamlining this list, I've included all enemy spoil collection quests in this list item. These quests are as follows: giving 20 golden plumes to the Rito warrior to use as a present for his girlfriend, resulting in Link receiving a rupee and then a piece of heart. Gifting Mrs. Marie with joy pendants to receive either the hero's charm or a heart piece depending on the version of the game you're playing. Giving Orca 10 Night Crest so he will teach you the hurricane spin. And finally giving the potion shop man 15 green and blue chew jellies so he can create green and blue potions respectively. Overall, these quests are all functionally similar, involving a character to request a specific number of spoils. The player goes out of their way to collect these spoils by either progressing the main quest or by farming spawns. Once the player has the requisite number of spoils, they return to the quest giver to receive their prize. I enjoy these quests quite a bit as they encourage the player to more methodically approach combat encounters, specifically stealing spoils or more accurately collecting rewards with the use of the grappling hook. I enjoy that all these quests have fun character moments scattered throughout. For example, I like Mrs. Marie's little arm-shaking celebration dance, the fact the Rito guard's girlfriend goes out of her way to send you a letter which contains a piece of heart, and the eccentric cutscene that plays when delivering all of the chew jellies. Upon the player's initial visit to Windfall Island, they may notice the windmill at the center of the island that sits inert and lifeless. This is a rather conspicuous stoppage considering it's the Windmill Island on Windfall. Working your way up to the top of the windmill, players will encounter a character named Creeb. Yes, that's his name. It's very silly. Creeb bemoans the fact that the island has recently received nothing but unfavorable winds preventing hot windmill action. Creeb is adamant that the windmill still functions, but will require the return of favorable winds. The player, the hero of winds, and master of the titular Wind Waker, can provide those winds and hop on the power switch to get it spinning. The spinning action enables access to another side quest we'll cover later in this section, as well as access to a viewing platform / service dock for the island's lighthouse, which is connected to the windmill's infrastructure. By shooting a fire arrow into the spinning metal chamber, the player can reactivate the lighthouse component as well. Once relit, players can speak to Creeb once more, who celebrates the lighting of the torch and gives Link a piece of heart. Players can also glide from the top of the windmill to a little island with a chest which is now corporeal thanks to the lighthouse's striking rays. I enjoy this quest since it provides a visual distinction of progress. In the early game, Windfall, Stagnant Windmill, and Broken Lighthouse stick out like a sore thumb. I specifically enjoy sailing towards Windfall at night after the lighthouse is repaired. It's an incredibly pretty vista and makes it feel like the player has tangible impact on the game's world. Speaking of beautifying Windfall Island and having a tangible impact on the game world, we move to Sam and the Joyous Volunteers Association side quest, which I have labeled as Windfall, Beautiful Windfall. During this quest, the player is tasked with beautifying Windfall Island on the behalf of Sam and the Joyous Volunteer Association, a group of islanders led by Mrs. Marie, who works towards making Windfall a more beautiful home. Sam is our point of contact for this quest. He explains that he and the JVA have installed joy pedestals across the island with the express intent of adding some decoration. Sam explains that Zunari, the shopkeeper, sells items which are placed in these locations. Initially, the player only has access to town flowers, but by completing another quest, will gain progressively more decorations to spruce up the island. To complete this quest, the player only needs to place items in the 14 outdoor pedestals. At minimum, this costs 140 rupees, and at maximum, a whopping 2,800. I, of course, opted for the 140 option in this playthrough, but in past playthroughs I have spent a lot of time and effort, and most importantly, hard-earned cash, buying up Zunari's goods to decorate. God, I love decorating. Speaking of obtaining decorations, we have Wind Waker's main trading quest, the Zunari/Goron trading sequence. The Zelda series is no stranger to a good old-fashioned trading sequence, and Wind Waker is no exception. In Ocarina, you were rewarded for your massive undertaking with the Big Goron Sword, the most powerful weapon in the game. In Majora's Mask, the player received a grand total of 4 pieces of heart, or 1 full heart container. In Wind Waker, you receive 1 piece of heart, a bunch of fun purchasable decorations for island beautification, and the magic armor, the best defensive item in the game, as long as you have magic in the GameCube version and rupees in the HD version. To complete this quest, players will trade items with the 3 Gorons located on the Great Sea. One is located on Bomb Island, another on Great Fish, and the final one is outside of the Mother and Child Isles. Gameplay-wise, this is my personal least favorite of the 3 trading quests to date. There are 12 unique items which must be traded, resulting in a chain of 13 distinctive actions which are undertaken by the player. Since there are only 3 individuals involved in this quest, this results in a massive amount of back and forth retreading of old territory. It isn't even like doing this quest over the whole game run solves this problem. You simply will not be traveling past these islands with enough frequency to naturally finish the quest. The player must make the conscious effort to go back and forth and back and forth and back again to receive all shop items and the eventual big rewards of the heart piece and the magic armor. With all that said, I still think there are some positives to note. I like how every traded item is purchasable and doubles as a decoration for Windfall. I like there are at least a few Gorons in this game, even if they are only relevant for this one side quest, and I especially enjoy the quest conclusion. The final item in the trading sequence is the Shop Guru statue, which is just a big old bowling trophy with Zunari as the golden topper. This playthrough was the first time I have completed this quest, and I had no clue this was the final item. I legit laughed, like out my mouth and nose, when I saw this ridiculous thing. The reaction of the final Goron really brings this punchline home. Quote, "Such divine figure, surely this is none other than the legendary individual who reigns at the peak of the business world. Oh, most worthy day, my lifelong dream has at long last come true. Such joy." End quote. Hilarious. Good work, whoever pitched this. In the Forest Haven at the base of the Deku Tree in Pools Sacred and Beautiful is a special tonic that heals the withered saplings across the Great Sea. The player can bottle this special forest water and take it across the Great Sea to the 8 withered trees to receive a piece of heart. The drawback is that the water is only potent for 20 minutes in the GameCube version and 30 minutes in the HD version. After that time elapses, the water reverts to regular old forest water, unexceptional and lacking in any restorative properties. All 8 withered saplings must receive forest water from a single reusable time-sensitive bottle. If the timer lapses, then the player must restart the quest. Players can speak with the Great Deku Tree to receive more information about the locations of the saplings. I did not show this off in either playthrough because, after all, I had already curated the list of relevant islands as part of my prep work for undertaking my Working Person's 100% playthrough. Honestly, I prefer this quest on the GameCube, which is a rarity because by and large the HD versions of quests are simply better. The reason I like the GameCube version more is because I think the 20 minutes is just the right amount of time to make this quest remain interesting. Also, in the GameCube version, you don't have access to the Swift Sail, which exponentially speeds this task up. Basically, the quest was made easier in both directions. Now you can move faster and have more time to complete the task. I completed this quest and the trading quest at the end of my Working Person's 100% playthrough due to the overall size of the quest in comparison to their peers. Overall, I enjoy this quest much more because it takes the player to 8 unique islands and tests their navigation ability. In a more casual playthrough, undertaking this quest early may result in the player discovering new things about the world diegetically while completing the quest, something that is not true for the trading sequence, which only features 3 locations. On Windfall Island outside Zunari's shop, there are two women discussing the classy, dreamy, and mysterious island photographer Linzo. Their names are Pompey and Vera, and they are positive that Linzo has a secret girlfriend. The only way to stop their gossiping is to investigate these rumors and shine some light on the truth. Simply talking to Linzo about this doesn't work because there are no dialogue options and Link can't speak, so players need something more substantive. The first step to beginning this quest is to get the windmill turning again as covered in an earlier entry. Once the windmill is turning, players can ride the gondolas around and hop onto the upper ledge of Linzo's photography hut, TM. Inside, players will find a treasure chart, 50 rupees, and the scene ripped from the fantasies of Pompey and Vera. There, the player will see Linzo and Menincho discussing pictographs of true beauty. The player can photograph this moment to show the gossiping women, but if you talk to Linzo, he'll be mostly confused how you got in, and Menincho will blabber about how she is only here to have her beautiful skin photographed, and that we shouldn't take this the wrong way. She's just a big fan of pictographs. Delivering the sizzling hot evidence to our best lady friends will result in them very quickly arriving at the conclusion that they were mistaken. Menincho can't be his girlfriend, and they must just share a common hobby. The ladies apologize to you and promise to change their ways as proof they give you a prize, another treasure chart. I think this is enormously silly. These ladies change their tune far too quickly. If anything, this is a situation where they got these two dead to rights. Maybe they know Menincho never shuts up about her beautiful skin and believes she is too vain for this to be anything other than Menincho's vanity and desire for pictures playing out with the island's photographer. But Linzo is full-blown horn-dogging it. I cannot be convinced of anything else. Obviously, I enjoy this quest because of the character-driven moments and solid reward dispersals. We learn more about 4 islanders, get to sneak into somebody's personal abode, and receive 2 treasure charts and some money for our troubles. I also enjoy that this quest interlocks with additional quests across the island. The Deluxe Picto Box quest, the Menincho Vanity quest, and getting the windmill started. We sure have covered a bunch of quests which require the Picto Box to complete. I wonder how we actually go about getting the Picto Box to begin with. That's obviously this portion of the video and number 5 on this list. The Linzo's Picto Box quest is a multi-tiered quest which requires Link to become Linzo's assistant and to solve riddle-like Picto puzzles to convince Linzo you're the real deal and upgrade your shoddy Picto Box to the Deluxe Caliber version. The Deluxe Picto Box experience luxury with storage for 12 whole pictographs, the best on the market. Take and view photographs in full stereoscopic color. Now that pops. And a selfie feature to make everybody jealous of your hot swag. Wow, what hot swag. But this punk-ass Linzo makes you work a job to obtain it, and that's narc behavior. But I guess we can abide. During this quest, Linzo requires the player to capture 3 images for him. In the first image, we capture the desperation of the human spirit. In the second, we see true fear. And in the third, lust. Linzo is a freak, and I hate that for his fellow citizens, but love that for me because it's ridiculous. Linzo, of course, doesn't phrase these riddles quite so ominously. He doesn't say, take a picture of lust, because that's disgusting. He says, instead, something to the effect of, take a picture of a man and woman who are madly in love, but have never spoken to each other. The player then runs around and talks to folks and people watches until they arrive at the solution to the prescribed riddles. Do this 3 times, and Psycho Linzo, Freak Linzo, Horny Linzo will upgrade his assistant Link's Picto Box to the deluxe variety. You see now why I'm convinced he had an immoral, nasty, salacious, randy thoughts for Menincho. I really enjoy this quest because it encourages players to interact with all the characters on Windfall to deduce if they are the subject of Linzo's intended images. Talking to characters and learning stuff about them remains goated. The flagship quest in The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask is the Cafe and Anju side quest. This multi-day, multi-step, often convoluted, occasionally cinematic, singularly defiant, and overall somber quest sees players working to unite separated lovers Cafe and Anju. Not to beat around the bush, but in my estimation this is one of Majora's Mask's highest highs. a true character-driven quest which maximizes on every gameplay flavor the game has to offer. With Wind Waker having many similar staff members and following up on Majora's eclectic weirdness, it only stands to reason that Lover's Quest would eke its way through QA and into players' hands. This particular quest, which I have labeled as Muy Linda Linda as a testament to what a smart boy I am, builds off the conclusion of the Deluxe Pictobox quest. The solution to Linzo's riddle about individuals on the island who are madly in love but won't talk to each other is a photograph of Linda and Anton. These two, for but a moment, shoot each other the briefest of glances, communicating a novel's worth of words to each other. And let me tell you, I know something about a novel's worth of words. It is the player's job to continue interacting with these two characters and eventually play matchmaker for their own goods. Linda has gargantuan, mammoth, quadruple cheeseburger-sized feelings for Anton, and Anton, a kickboxer by trade, thinks she's a real knockout. By taking a picture of Linda and showing it to Anton, you can facilitate their connection. No matter how crooked Linzo's intentions likely are, our intentions are even more wicked since we will be taking a prize. Players must wait one day after showing Linda's picture to Anton and then visit the cafe to find them there, together, talking, and being cute and stuff. They are excited to have found each other and give Link a piece of their hearts. Pretty literal this time, huh? After seeing this scene, Linda and Anton will now stand underneath the shade of a tree next to the schoolhouse and reiterate their happiness with each other and their gratitude for Link. I like this quest as a follow-up to Linzo's initial Pictobox quest. It offers the player an opportunity to make a tangible change to the game world, experience a small character-driven story, and ultimately do something nice. I may not come across as a big softie, but I am, and this quest just makes me happy. I'm glad these two found each other, and also that they found Link, and also made it so obvious that even that creep Linzo knew. But more than anything, I'm glad they found each other. Literally hours ago in the introduction to this video, I mentioned that once during the runtime of this video, I would break glass-shattered hyperpop music style with my own perfect internally consistent rules. This is that moment. Thank you for waiting. I am including the Savage Labyrinth as one of Wind Waker's major quests. I know at the top of this segment I intentionally and specifically mentioned that these are character-driven quests, and I hate to break it to everybody, but there are no real characters at any point of this quest, with the exception of Old Man Ho-Ho. That can't be his name. Nope. Yep, that's his name, Old Man Ho-Ho. I was right when I typed it initially. He's known as Biggle in France. Old Man Ho-Ho / Biggle. Back on topic. No characters unless you count Mr. Two-Thirds Santa Claus over here. The Savage Labyrinth is a 50-floor descending combat dungeon. The first 30 floors are required to complete the game in both the original and HD versions. The final 20 floors are optional and reward the player with additional rupees, and a heart piece in the HD version, and the Hero's Charm in the original release. But more than these rewards, the true reward is the interesting and increasingly difficult combat encounters that transpire between each floor. I find this game's combat illustrious and the finest in the entire series. Give or take 50 floors, 30 required, 20 optional, of nothing but pulse-pounding combat action is exactly what my rheumatologist ordered for my decaying arthritic hands and wrist. Let's go, baby, more combat, hallelujah, praise be. Every floor features a unique combination of enemies for players to either systematically puzzle out and defeat or berserker rage bum rush. I had not completed the full 50 floors prior to this playthrough and over-prepared, anticipating a much higher degree of challenge than was present. I had 19 hearts, 2 blue potions, a fairy, and 2 servings of Grandma's special soup. It was not that serious, but it was still enormously fun and a definite jump in combat difficulty. To nitpick, because we have already been here for hours, once a few more sentences, I wish the combat in this section of the game was more difficult. Even on standard mode, since this area is completely optional for the final 40%, I would have been pleased to see even more interesting and challenging combinations of enemies. Overall, the Savage Labyrinth is still awesome and has fun, enthralling gameplay even if my seasoned arthritic games player's hands could accept some additional challenge intrigue. This is the only character-driven quest in this game that requires the completion of one of Wind Waker's many interesting minigames. If you're interested in a thorough, observational glance at all the minigame hotness, please refer to this timestamp or keep watching because it's literally the next segment on the docket. First, I find it odd that the minigames are so nearly completely sequestered from the meatier and fully rounded side quest. Secondly, because it's unavoidable to mention the minigame in question because the player must complete it numerous times to finish this quest. I believe that this minigame / character-driven side quest combo is one of the game's high points. In this quest, players are required to complete the mail sorting minigame located on Dragon Roost Island. By completing this minigame multiple times with increasingly impressive metrics, Link will become known to the Rito Postman as a legend that shines so bright that their luminance transcends into the lives of Dragon Roost's newest post office employee, Baito. Or Baito. Baito is initially found outside Dragon Roost with a small pamphlet and a cute bag, wondering how they can clamber up the side of this daunting Dragon Roost mountain to arrive punctually to a job interview. Eventually, Baito does receive the postman's job and hears about the legend of Link, public servant, post office worker extraordinaire, someone who instills a sense of purpose and a genuine strive in Baito to improve in his praxis. If Link dares show Baito his mail sorting prowess, Baito, overwhelmed and impressed, will present Link with a letter post-stamped to his mother. Baito, a rule-following do-gooder hard worker, acknowledges he works at a post office but insists it is against company policy and poor etiquette to circumvent said policy. After the player sends the letter on Baito's behalf, pays the 5 rupee postage surcharge, and waits for a bit, the player will receive a gracious letter from Baito's mom expressing her sincerest thanks to Link for his inspiring technique and, more importantly, his kindness towards her son. I like this quest because it highlights a minor change in the world. It can feel like, while adventuring, the only things that change in the Great Sea are those that Link directly interferes with. But this small story about a part-time worker that transpires as the time changes highlights a small but meaningful adjustment in the game world. After all, Baito was not here and employed on our first visit to Dragon Roost. Of course, this is almost all artifice since Baito cannot be employed until Link sorts letters. However, on my first playthrough, back in the days of antiquity, joke, I had no clue that playing the minigame resulted in this world change. I was under the impression Baito was upstairs at the post office by default, so surprised me when he was still hanging out trying to get to his interview after we returned to snatch Medley away for a life of spiritual servitude. I guess even with that knowledge, I can't shake my memories of my initial playthrough where this weirdo just showed up without me knowing why. I like when side quests in some fashion are a byproduct of a changing game world whether or not the player is the one who instigates the change. Speaking of which, you may view this as cheating, but I am perfect and only make mistakes on purpose, and this, dear children and elders, is no mistake. Yes, this side story features 3 quests and a wide-reaching narrative arc which begins during our first visit to Windfall and concludes after saving the girls from the Forsaken Fortress. This additional narrative arc is nestled beautifully inside of Wind Waker's larger mainline progression-oriented narrative. The characters' lives change even if Link never even endeavors to learn a modicum's notion about their trials. A story which exists completely outside the realm of side task-oriented player input. A story which supports the notion that a changing game world is phenomenal and necessary to make all the proceedings feel more palpable. To grasp the scope of this quest, we will need to visit 2 distinct characters. One who lurks amongst the rabble street side, and another whose only known towers of ivory and boards of charcuterie. Upon the player's first visit to Windfall Island, immediately following our rather brutal exit from the Forsaken Fortress, we'll almost certainly encounter this grotesque off-shade green crusty fading elder street urchin. If the player wanders into his action radius, an exclamatory symbol appears north of his noggin side and he begins his insistent approach. With each step of his approach, my deft, battle-hardened Wind Waker player's hands evade him like my mortal soul depends on this simple execution. I so regularly and feverishly avoid his conversation that I did not even talk to him and capture footage for my most video of all time. We have to steal from the Game Grumps for this. What a day this is for me. If you fail to avoid his conversation, he will pester you to hear his tale of woe. His daughter was captured and he oozes desperation to see her return safely. This may seem like a completely normal reaction to an unexpected familial abduction, This green bean-shaped man with his stovepipe hat and degrading garments is but a lowly traumatized father who has no coin or means and has but one simple wish, to see his precious daughter return no hair's harm from the clutches of the big bird, and his father the king of evil incarnate. Our second character is far different yet shares a similar fate. Above the ornate auction room floor lives the father of Mila, a man of immense means who laments loudly to those who wander into his oral radius his loss and woe. His daughter, Mila, so callously and abruptly abducted from her life of comfort and luxury, stolen away in the night to the den of sin alongside fellow denizens of the great sea, her pointed ears a somber clue for evil's grasp, so small yet sufficient for the great forsaken bird to dip low from its cloudy cruise to rend families without a thought for outcomes unrelated to the desires of the evil king. The man of means will give everything instantaneously to see his daughter's safe return, no hairs on her eared head harmed. Link, regardless of the knowledge gained, of course, through the virtue of perfect game action, arrives at the Forsaken Fortress and delivers a fatal blow to the Helmarok King's dome and assists in extracting the prisoners from the fortress. These two men, one of means and one of the street, serve to further contextualize the damage and unthinkable spiritual crimes of Ganon, the dichotomy present between their livelihoods yet the congruence of their woes add a texture to the world and the overarching story through micro-character diction. Once the daughters of Windfall are free from their forsaken internment, the shape of Windfall's socio-economic state shifts. On one hand, the once ivory king who lurked above the din of capital tides finds himself along the worn dirt paths and shade of the looming birch. And on the other, the son of the streets and master of woven woe ascends to the perch of influence and greed. From rags to riches, from riches to rags, a profound flux and force is not quite understood. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. This change of roles between these men and their daughters marks the point where the actual side quests can begin. When returning to Windfall after liberating the prisoners, we will find Mila's father stripped of his lustrous robes and lurching beneath the birch. He explains in beautiful prose his jubilance and relief being reunited with his whole and safe daughter. He explains his fortune is gone, a payment to Tetra and her pirate crew for successfully delivering his daughter to his safe and open arms. He expresses great pride in how hard Mila works to provide for his family, since he's unable to work due to an alleged broken back. This pride in his daughter's work is undercut by a shadow of doubt about her nighttime activities. During the night, the player can find Mila lurking between the auction house and the potion shop. Mila is adamant you remain quiet and get lost. Curious players can follow her circuitous path to discover that in the evenings Mila attempts a heist against the ultimate capitalistic authority, the shop guru, the trophy topper, her current employer, and the one and only king of the merchant, Zunari. She shuffles in silently and begins a foolhardy deliberate attempt to deftly purloin the valuables from his sturdy safe, much the same way she was nimbly plucked from her home island. Link corners her mid-action, her hands and face red. Link announces himself as an ally of justice, though I would wager he is a cold-hearted, stone-faced narc, and Mila explains her circumstances through a story of regret and longing. She once lived a perfect debutante's life filled with riches and luxury, but that was the past and this is now. And now she's reduced to rags and reposed to weep impoverished tears. Of course, she lurks and sneaks and wrenches at the gaps in society's vision to rebuild her father's loss. And worse than anything, Cataclysm's ire demands retribution from stoic wakings. Maggie, the daughter of dregs, ascended to the worn throne of excess. Maggie, the poorest amongst us, the shadow trial drenched in misfortune and doused in the stench of lack. Anybody but Maggie. Link listens, then narc-like expresses sincerely his ubermensch honesty and refuses to let Mila go free. Mila, in this moment, admits to making excuses and commits to turning the page in her life to a chapter of honesty and personal responsibility. For his troubles, Link receives an empty bottle, just as empty as the promises made under tonight's beautiful moon. As the moon waxes and wanes and the tides ebb and flow, so too does money change hands. Now above the auction room's floor we find the beggar dispossessed of his rags and cloaked in garish gear. No longer derelict in dreaming of his sweet daughter's return, he finds himself the king of a lurid castle, his daughter freed and his business ventures flowing. Maggie, the young heartfelt lover, found truth and meaning beyond comprehension while in captivity. She found an uncommon and scandalous love with a moblin named Mo. Mo provided Maggie in excess numerous skull necklaces, a relic from their race and the spoil of war for Link. These necklaces flow like a broken tap, and with each craftsman's creation another stolen and sold item for Maggie's father. His business, perfect and dubious, built on the back of his daughter's forbidden love. He scraped the grime of beggarly clean from his rash skin and replaced it with cruelty and displeasure. Link, the child, once the object of affection, of demand, now in the eyes of the man is nothing more than an urchin clamoring at the feet of a man's God-given wealth. The excised tumor patronage and the surgical insertion of misplaced confidence and a mistaken divine providence have warped his visage of the man into a beast uncertain in shape and definite in intention. If Link so dares to conversationally wrestle this burdened beast, he is met with attacks on character, but a strong constitution and a sharp wit and gift of additional skull necklace spoils results in the awarding treasure chart. A chart which demands a sort of action and gumption that his reposed divine enchanted fancy man could never in his dream set forth to attain. Maggie stands proudly in a corset and frills, a Victorian outfit for her child of luck. She expresses her earnest dreams of love and enchantment with the Moblin Mo. She feels like a rainstorm in her heart without her love, the one who provided her with the expensive necklaces. Alas, her letters written in dripping flowery prose, relics of her own expressive heart, receive no reply. A simple request. Link, deliver this letter, which contains within it secrets of the heart shape and whispers of the spirit. Soon, a reply arrives, delivered by a Rito postman but denied at entry. Begone and silent, shout her father. Postmen are not welcome here. The postman, ruffled by the exchange, retreats to the local cafe for a moment's respite. Link, upon a chance cafe meeting, receives Mo's response and diligently and immediately delivers it safely to Maggie's expectant, loving hands. It reads, "This is Mo. I like you, Maggie. So much I want to eat you for dinner." Maggie correctly interprets this as a post-sent marriage proposal. A day of joy and celebration commences in Maggie's heart. For your part in this grand operation, you receive a small token of the young fiancé's heartfelt joy. This series of side quests related to these two families are head and shoulders above their peers. They have enchanting and expressive narratives and highlight how changes in the game world with or without player input can create for more lively scenery and stories. The final major component of side questing in Wind Waker is minigames. Minigames are a time-honored Zelda tradition, offering players the opportunity to earn additional rupees or other fabulous prizes like heart pieces. By my count, there are 10 minigames in The Legend of Zelda the Wind Waker, though I think depending on how arbitrary your minigame assessment tracker is, you may be able to materialize a slightly larger or smaller number. I decided to play it super safe when I made my definition to dodge additions of anything somewhat unscrupulous or not fully realized. Minigame classification requires two things. First, does it substantially augment regular gameplay modes, and second, it must offer an optional reward. This means that the timed rope swinging segments with Nico on the pirate ship, which do augment gameplay, aren't sufficient in my eyes to warrant true minigame status, since this swing is not replicable and only offers the mandatory gameplay prizes. Once again, I feel like explaining these minigames through a worst to best list is best for retention. Unlike the previous rankings, I genuinely despise some of these minigames, so hopefully you derive some sort of Schadenfreude-esque enjoyment from these few. Speaking of despising a minigame, this minigame sucks ass. I hate this one, and more importantly, I hate myself for participating. I feel guilty by association with this one, like somehow me playing this game is me falling for a practical joke created by the development team. Nobody's going to actually do this, they must have said, because this isn't fun, and it sucks bigly, they said as well. To actually explain and not complain, this minigame involves Link hitting Orca with his sword a bunch before Orca can hit him little, i.e. 3 times. Optimally, the player performs single input slashes and blocks on occasion. To receive the first reward, 50 rupees, the player must hit Orca 100 times. To receive the second award, 100 rupees, the player must hit Orca 300 times. To receive the third award, a heart piece, players must hit Orca 500 times. And to receive the final award, 200 rupees, the player must hit Orca 1000 times. For this, they are also awarded the title of Master. More like Masturbator, the way my... what did it say? More like Masturbator, the way my hand was buzzing on the nub. Why would I write that? That's a stretch, and I'm sorry, I'm just upset. I did not earn the title Master because I am not going to sit there hitting this goon for 1,000 times. He just likes it too much. To complete the 100, 300, and 500 hit versions of this task, it took me just shy of 15 minutes, with the 500 hit run taking almost exactly 8 minutes. We can then assume 1,000 hits would add an additional 16 minutes, resulting in half an hour of mashing one button. Good stuff. Worst minigame by far. Sliding puzzles are an inoffensive minigame found in the Private Oasis Cabana. Each puzzle gives 50 rupees for completion, with a final reward of 200 rupees for completing the final puzzle. This in total comes out to 950 rupees. Ultimately, these puzzles feel supremely disconnected from the game we are actually playing. If it wasn't for the image on screen being a character from the game, a player could easily think their console got ethereally hijacked by some sort of teenage jokester spirit. I don't like Pig Chase. I like it more than the previous two because number one, it's much shorter, and number two, it at least has to do with the game we're playing. Pig Chase is an optional minigame which is begun by giving Dampa, the sailor, 3 Moblin skull necklaces. The aim of the game is to collect 3 pigs from the nearby beach that overlook the area and return them in 2 minutes. This minigame sucks for 2 reasons. One sensible and one personal. The sensible reason is that the controls to pick up a pig are not the most intuitive, and the personal reason is that I completed the minigame with my last 3 skull necklaces, but then the piggies ran off the ledge, and Dampa, that prick, said they didn't count. So I had to get more necklaces and return to try again. I didn't lose, you cheated me. You don't have my respect. You are not an above board businessman, you prick. The boating course is silly and the only sailing-based minigame. This course is an incredibly efficient way to make rupees, at least compared to its minigame peers, but the downside is that the minigame is super boring. Basically, the player will navigate this course while boat-bound. There are rupees scattered around the course alongside some rudimentary traps. The wind is always at Link's back, similar to the swift sail, and that's it. There is only one version of the course, and there are no rewards based on time. Since the course is super duper easy, players should always receive the maximum payout of 250 rupees for completion. Taking into account the 30 rupee cost of entry, players will pocket 220 net rupees for their efforts. Overall, there's not enough variance or excitement for me to find this eminently replayable. Similarly, the Rito Birdman contest found at the flight control platform does not offer much variance or replayability, however it does generate some excitement on first playthrough. I attempted the Birdman contest 3 times for this video. My first attempt was a ridiculous fail which should be banished to eternity. The second, I missed my mark by literally 1 yard, and the final run I barely succeeded. Missing the line by 1 yard is objectively hilarious and speaks volumes to the power of games generating fun fail states. For that fun fail state reason and the fact this minigame rewards players with a piece of heart as opposed to rupees, it lands at slightly above the boating course. This is Wind Waker's version of the shooting gallery. The only reward is rupees and bow practice, and I love it to death. I had no clue this even existed before this playthrough because I have never double fed a fish with a bow. Put that on my tombstone. I have never double fed a fish with the bow. I am a sucker for skill-based minigames that are replayable and let players practice skills that are used during regular gameplay. I am one of the worst bowmen in Wind Waker history, so it's nice to know there's a fun, somewhat lucrative way to practice. Again, if this wasn't clear, to play this minigame you feed a fish after you have his map square filled out and also have possession of the bow and arrow. The cost of entry is 1 all-purpose bait, which is 10 rupees, and for each of the 10 arrows landed, the player makes 10 rupees. If you land all of your arrows, then the player receives 200 rupees. The Windfall auction is an auction that occurs on Windfall. Can you tell how good with words I am? This auction occurs every night with the exception of the night the pirates are in town. I know this because I went to the auction hoping to win the swift sale before boot scooting boogieing my way to the far south of the map. But you can't, and I was thwarted. Not the part of the boat, just the part of my dreams. Every night, one of 4 prizes in the GameCube version or one of 5 prizes in the HD version will be offered up for bidding. The auction is run by the shop guru himself, the world's greatest capitalist, Zunari, and is patronized by the citizens of Windfall. The prizes on offer vary from incredible, best item in the game, to pretty much useless. On offer in ascending order, we have a joy pendant, a treasure chart which leads to 1 rupee, a treasure chart leading to a piece of heart, a piece of heart, and the swift sale. On its face, the auction functions like one would expect. The different characters cast their bids into Zunari's money ocean and the winner gets the prize. To gamify this experience for the player, there are still some unique mechanics which aren't exactly standard fare. First, the auction has a secret time limit. The winner at time wins the prize. Zunari will provide updates about timing throughout and issue a final warning near bidding's conclusion. Also, the player can bid at almost any time, but here lies the gamified mechanic. First, the player must mash the A button to fill up a meter at the bottom of the screen. Once the meter is full, they earn the right to bid. And second, if the player bids more than 10% of the current bid, the entire peanut gallery is stunned temporarily. I did not remember any of these mechanics from my original playthroughs in the past, which resulted in me losing out on the swift sale on my first attempt by being sniped by the face of fear himself, Gossick. Luckily, according to Zunari, for some unfathomable reason, Gossick had to part with the item he just won. The lack of replayability is more than made up for by all the good things the Windfall auction has going for it. I enjoy this minigame because it offers an incredible array of rewards, lets the player interface with a slate of interesting island residents, and is just gamified enough that it creates at least one hilariously frustrating fail state. In my memory, this minigame sucked, but in practice, it rules. The canon minigame located at Spectacle Island just west of Windfall on Square B3 is operated by Salvatore, who is maybe my single favorite side character in this game. Salvatore is a man who seemingly finds his job as minigames master to be a bit of a slog or an outright bore. However, when the player makes his acquaintance, this disenfranchised goon pulls out all the stops. He plays characters, he makes noises, he lets you play again without having to sit through all of his dialogue. What a champion. The canon minigame at Spectacle Island is one of 2 minigames Salvatore is in charge of operating. The game involves shooting a cannon at 5 barrels. This cannon has completely unique controls from anything else in this game and requires the player to aim by moving this cannon left and right, but also by inputting a specific launch angle. This game is initially pretty trial and error as players wrap their heads around this new mechanic, but quickly the skill ceiling presents itself. I found this minigame to print pure dopamine for me on this playthrough. Landing a targeted shot based on nothing but sheer will and intuition is such a great feeling. This minigame offers 2 main prizes, a piece of heart for first clearance and a treasure chart for your second clearance. All subsequent playthroughs result in the player earning 100 rupees, but the game does cost 50 rupees to play, resulting in a net profit of 50 rupees. Not super impressive. All in all, I was shocked by how much I liked this minigame, and I'm glad they put 2 prizes behind its 50 rupee pay-to-play entry. Ladies and gentlemen, and others who preferred not to be so thoroughly boxed in by antiquated modes of gender-related thinking, we have a major coincidence on our hands. I repeat, a major coincidence is on our hands. My second favorite minigame is the Dragon Roost Mail Sort, which just so happens to coincide with our previously covered second best side quest, the Bido the Mail Sorter quest. I wish I could claim this posture as pure, perfect, and premeditated, but I only lie sometimes and I do not lie now. This is simply the silver medalist in all conceivable relevant respects. I like this minigame because it's fun. It's that simple. I wish I had more to offer from an analytical viewpoint, but the spirit of fun is a genuine mistress with soft hands and a loving smile and a real gumption about her, time tossing color-coded envelopes into respective cubbies for rupees, side quest story, and heart piece purposes rules. When I was a child, I hated this minigame since I found it quite difficult, but as an adult with big manly hands, a fully developed cerebellum, and decades on decades of games playing experience, the challenge level is oh so Goldilocks correct. Let's hear it for our silver medalist, everybody. Woohoo! Yippee even. I don't think any hardcore wind-waking freaks are shocked by this placement. Squid Hunt, or as I have always mentally called it, Battle Squids, is my favorite minigame. It is also the first minigame the player has access to play. Once again, we find our cherished small business owner Salvatore overseeing the proceedings. Salvatore oozes his nonchalant, apathetic charm all over the game board. Pause. Early on, if the player is lacking funds to play the game, no worries, there are 30 rupees tucked away behind this pirate ship cutout. Squid Hunt, nay Battle Squids, is just battleships, but with two key twists. First, and less importantly, instead of varying size battleships, they are varying size battle squids. A world-relevant adjustment because lurking throughout the Great Sea, players can encounter big octo enemies with a variety of sizes dictated by their total number of eyes. Second, and most importantly, Salvatore makes funny noises as the game progresses. For each miss, Salvatore wallows.
Sploosh!
And for each direct hit, he exclaims.
Kaboom!
I have placed this game at the first spot because of its oozing charm more than anything. The game itself is simple and fine, but the polish really does it for me. Rewards for this game are excellent too. The player receives a heart piece on first clearance, a treasure chart for victory number 2, and a second treasure chart for victory in fewer than 20 cannonballs. Beyond that, players can receive an orange rupee each time they clear their personal shot count record. Great rewards, great polish, fun characters and setting, it all comes together for an excellent tone-setting minigame. In summation, The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker has an excellent selection of character-driven side quests alongside a quirky set of unique minigames. These quests and minigames serve the larger gameplay loop excellently by succinctly introducing minute world elements which make the world of The Wind Waker feel alive, breathing, and teeming with intrigue. These optional elements and their rewards snugly slot into an excellent gameplay loop and provide players with additional content that is fun, engaging, and rewarding. And if you were wondering where the Grandma's Special Soup quest was, well, it's right here. I didn't forget it, I swear. You're just making stuff up. I didn't forget it, it's right here. Look, it's Grandma's Special Soup. Grandma wins the award for Best Sad Quest. Thanks, Grandma, for your soup and your patronage. Again, I didn't forget. I never forget. Why would you think I forgot it? Why would you think I forgot it? It's right there. Grandma. Like I mentioned earlier, this video is a complete segment from a video I have titled The Most Video of All Time, a supremely exhaustive review and analysis of the most Zelda of all time, The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker. I had originally hoped to release this video as one giant single upload, however, to be completely forward and honest with you, my joy has faded substantially. My editing speed is far beneath my expectations for myself, and my real-world responsibilities will always trump making silly free videos on YouTube for you sickos. With all this in mind, I have decided to release the most video of all time in smaller segments. Once all segments are complete and uploaded, I will package them as a single unified entity. This will allow me to keep a steady stream of uploads over the next few months, as well as offer me the opportunity to cover some other non-Wind Waker related topics between releasing each segment. Each Wind Waker video will be between 20 and 60 minutes and cover one or two major aspects of gameplay. My vision for the most video of all time is to create a review that contains within itself multiple standalone projects. These include countdowns, tier lists, and personal anecdotal laden segments. This has always been my vision, but I am only now clearly seeing the amount of time and dedication it takes to craft such a long and loving video. I would have been over the moon excited to unveil a nearly 10-hour video for you over the next few weeks, partially to see how the YouTube algorithm reacts to such a long beast, and partially because I want to continue to consistently showcase my creativity and insight. Please stick around for the non-scripted afterword if you want more information about my previous uploads, and to hear more about my recent reconciliation with the concept of joy. Wow, that's a big one, huh? thank you for watching that video. It means a lot to me that you stuck it through, champ. I've got a little bit of an attitude with you there. I'm so sorry. If you enjoyed that, please feel free to check out some of my other videos. I genuinely believe they're all special in their own unique way. How can a father love any of his children more than another? But if I had to pick anyhow, I would say my Steam sale videos, which are my most viewed videos, are probably the best. Primer. I have one for the autumn and one for the winter. They're both pretty good. If you want something Nintendo related, I have a Star Fox Adventures review that's 2.5 hours and made with so much joy. And if you're a true sicko, maybe check out my video about Terry Kavanagh's games, or my Intentionally Losing at Racing Games video. They're pretty good. Basically, I'm gonna cut to the chase here. If you want to hear some more updates about the most video of all time, stay tuned. If you don't give a hoot, a holler, or a rat's ass, well, feel free to go. Check out some other stuff I made, and maybe I'll see you next time for another Wind Waker video or something else. Adios, goodbye, sayonara. If you're still here, that means you're a true sicko and you want a little bit more of an update. Hey, true sickos, it's me, another sicko. So, first of all, if it sounds like I'm whispering, it's because I am. It is 6 a.m. I woke up at 5:30 today to record this audio to finish this video. My girlfriend's asleep. I don't want to wake her up, so that's why we're doing this voice. If you think this is weird in ASMR, well, hopefully we never have to do this again. But we have to do it right now, so we're doing it, okay? So basically, as you saw in the little conclusion, this is part of the most video of all time. The most video of all time is a review of The Legend of Zelda the Wind Waker. I'm splitting it up into smaller segments because quite frankly, I lost my joy for it over the past 2 months. It started to feel like work. I bit off way more than I could chew. There was too much footage, over a terabyte. I had too many segments. It was too intricate. I just didn't have enough time in the day, considering that I had a full-time job and other adult responsibilities. I know, boo-hoo. But also, I've come to the conclusion that it's not that serious, and I'm treating it like it's way more serious than it is. Basically, anytime I sat down to work on the video, it felt like that work. When I made my Star Fox video, it never felt like work. But the big takeaway here is that since it was feeling like work, I didn't want to do it anymore. Well, I found a way around that. I found a way to reconcile my joy. One is not enough. You can't just be dedicated. You can't just be joyful. You have to be a little bit of both, and I'm not both. So how am I going to get that joy back? Well, I'm going to make some changes. First, the most video of all time will be released in segments. Secondly, the videos that I'm going to release related to the most video of all time and otherwise are going to be smaller. 20 minutes to 45 minutes is ideal. Nothing longer than an hour with the exception of this video because of all these asides. Next, I'm going to have more reasonable deadlines for myself. I was really trying to get this most video of all time video that was 63,000 words, which is 9 spoken hours. I was trying to get this video done by the end of this month. I'm nowhere close, man. I'm nowhere close. It's not happening. I'm like a year out. It feels like it just doesn't feel like it's possible. So I'm gonna have to take it slow. Which is a lot of words to say. I'm going to keep the videos smaller, a lot smaller. I'm going to give myself more reasonable deadlines with these smaller segments, and once they're all done, I'll stitch them together. And I won't just be stitching them together. They're going to be fun interludes and additional segments that don't make sense as standalone videos. And then that will be the most video of all time. So if it's a big segment like this, then wahoo, yippee, look at that. Isn't that so fun? I'm also going to take breaks when I need breaks. I'm someone who will forego taking breaks in favor of just working every moment of every day. I'm not going to do that anymore because that's dumb, and this doesn't pay. It pays in dopamine when people like the videos and say nice things to me. So yeah, keep an eye out for more Wind Waker related videos. The next video I release will either be about the combat system in Wind Waker, which is a segment I almost have edited. And by almost, I mean there's a lot of polish it needs, but the big stuff is there. Or I'm going to release another video about games released by one of my favorite little indie developers who they themselves just released a game like 2 weeks ago. And no, it isn't Edmund McMillan, it isn't his cat game, though I am going to play that. This is a different developer, weirder, more underground. I hope to turn y'all watching this on to something really, really neat, really, really cool. They have 3 videos. 3 videos, good lord, I'm brain broken. They have 3 games out as far as I'm aware, and those games are sick as hell. And I hope I can share that with you either next or within the next month or 2. So yeah, stay tuned if you want more Wind Waker videos, and stay tuned if you want more weird little game videos, because that's who I am. That's what I'm doing here, I guess. Again, if you want to watch a video filled with joy, I recommend watching my intentionally losing at racing games video. Yeah, it's joyful, that's for sure. And if you want a little taste of something else, well, go take a look. I'm not going to spend any longer. It's too early for that. Go take a look. You're going to find something. I have full faith in you, my child, my sweet. What? Again, it's early. I just woke up. I'm about 1/3 of a way through an Alani. This one's flavor is it's dark in here. Sherbet Swirl. Got it in a mega pack. Sherbet Swirl mega pack. I'm only 1/3 of the way through that. I'm still asleep. I'm rambling. I said I wouldn't do this. Okay, just go take a look. I'll see you next time. If you have any interest in my videos, go take a look. And I'll bring you a joyful product. Okie dokie. Bye bye. Woohoo. Yippee.